My name is Rick Maharaj. Super excited and thrilled to be here with you all today. Share some of my experiences and some ideas and concept about agile architecture, and maybe share with you some ideas and thoughts that I've used and practiced along the way. So let's get started. I think we can all say that we live in some pretty complex times. As you all have seen, the macroeconomics have taken quite an impact on companies. Our inflation rates have been the highest it's ever been ever since the Great Depression. Our inflation is extremely high. Companies are tightening up their budgets, laying off, and you've probably all seen the news on that, and many companies going out of business. These complex times have been extremely difficult on businesses as well. Companies that I work for, you all work for, that are also tightening the belt, thinking about how they can achieve the most ROI from their particular initiatives, their programs, and trying to squeeze every dollar out of all the work that they're doing. From a friction perspective, we see a lot of friction within organizations. Not only do we deal with macroeconomic frictions, but now we're dealing with internal friction as well. Things like competing priorities, funding issues, data silos, change management issues. It's a lot to take in and manage and ensure that you're delivering the right outcomes for your company. As an IC for the past 20 plus years, I've gone through a few of these changes myself. Going through things like Y2K, the recession back in 2008, 9/11 attacks. It's an amazing time to kind of come through and see how goodness comes through some of these hard times. And I'd say through all of this, I'd say through the friction, there's always some growth that happens for companies personally and also across the industry. And this goodness that comes out usually equates to some level of benefit for companies that we all work through. It kind of leads you to wonder where we fit in, you and I, we, for our companies, how we can help our companies achieve the biggest impacts, the biggest ROIs. I tend to think about it in two dimensions. There's business impact, and then there's the people impact side. I tend to spend my time on right in the middle, I'd say, even keel. Thinking about how I can help change the future for the company, talking about things like being able to look ahead of the curve for Atlassian, and also spend some of my time on people side, mentoring folks across the org, ensuring that you can influence them and they can scale. You may spend your time on more local things, things that are more business impactful, may not spend majority of your time on people impact. Other folks may spend their time on things like global impact within a company. So folks that are working on capabilities or platforms or architectural initiatives that have broader impact across product and platform. No matter how you look at it, you think about an idea, a goal, where you will impact the company or you impact your team, it's important to think about horizons. I tend to think about horizons from a tactical and strategic standpoint. 1 to 2 years for tactical items, and maybe 2 to 5 years for strategic. Things that you want to be able to produce for your companies, the goals and objectives. Whereas previously companies used to think about tech radars up to 5 years plus. And you don't see this very often anymore, at least companies that I've been at. We used to be thinking about 5-year advanced technologies and roadmaps and tech radars, and now you just don't see it based on what companies are trying to do more locally, trying to achieve more ROI sooner, faster for the monies that they're investing in, initiatives that they have, initiatives that they've put aside. So for me, one thing that's helped quite a bit is to have crystal clear narratives. And this is extremely important. I talked to a bunch of architects, my company and others, about writing crystal clear narratives. What the famous professor at Stanford, Bob Sutton, talks about jargon monoxide will defeat your purpose as far as when it comes to writing clear narratives. You want to be able to write clear narratives that illustrate the value of what you're providing, what you're producing. And some tools that I have used in the past to still use, made famous by folks like AWS and Amazon, writing 6-pagers and PR FAQs that can help narrate your value. Starting with the what. So the what is the easy part. I think most folks know what they want to do, what they want to build. They want to build a new tracing library. They want to build a new deployment pipeline. That's the easy part. It's the why that starts to become the more difficult piece. And once you think you have written the why, I tend folks to think about the why again, And then once they've written the why part again, and then think about rewriting it again. But the why is extremely important as far as transcending the value of what you're trying to produce across your org. 6-pagers, PR FAQs help. The how, the who, and the when is the easy part again. It's the why that'll transcend boundaries and help across your organization so that you can deliver the things that you set out to do. Now we shift over into agile architecture. I like to call this money in the bank. Now there's no issue with writing a 1 to 3 year strategy. Companies are okay with that. We do this quite a bit at Atlassian and other companies as well, where I see folks thinking about the future. But the way you approach and deliver these initiatives are what I would call an agile method. So evolutionary architecture that can help produce money in the bank or value, especially in the first year. If you're working on a major initiative or something that's local to your team, I push on folks to think about delivering iterative value across per quarter, especially in the first year, gaining confidence in your ability to get more funding, more team members to help deliver the thing that you want to. Iteration per quarter is a value. And in Atlassian, we use this method as well. Every quarter, the thing that you're working on, whether it's building the new modern data platform or the new streaming pipeline, it has to show value every quarter. No more big bang effects, waterfall-y type approaches. Most companies now, as you know, will take this approach. But as an architect, we tend to ensure that most folks are writing the PR FAQs and 6-pagers to show that they're going to be delivering this value, and then they're held accountable for it. Feedback loop is extremely important. Again, coming back with iterative value, ideally with your customers or your business, you have a way of bringing that feedback loop back into your development environment, and moving forward with the value that you're providing with your initiative or your perspective. Now, once you have a clear narrative, you have an idea and a concept, you've written the outline of what you think you want to deliver, you need people to help you. And I use a technique called influence the influencers. In such large organizations like the one I work for and the ones that you may work for as well, I use this kind of heat transfer mechanism called conduction, convection, and radiation. So it's easy to do this when you have a team that's local. If you're a small company, you can reach out, you can convey your idea, your thoughts, you can show your code, you can show some demos, but when you get into a large organization where you need to spread the perspective around the value, you have to use other molecules, if you will. So influencing influencers is extremely important, right? Knowing people in other orgs or other parts of your orgs that actually have influence across their domains, and make them your best friends. Bring them in, pull them into your ideas and thoughts through conduction. If you don't have direct reach, like we have businesses throughout the globe, you want to reach out to an influencer that has local sponsorship. And then radiation is a way that you don't have access to folks. And you use tools like videos and PR FAQs and 6-pagers to actually radiate and give your ideas and thoughts out to the rest of your company and even to the industry. Champion maker, this is I would say, underlying, as you go through your process of implementing the capabilities, you have to watch out for the detractors, right? The underlying detractors that are either maliciously complying with your ideas and thoughts in front of your face, or constructively destructive as far as helping you to achieve your goals. And I feel like, over the past decades for me, you'll always find detractors, and it's always good to learn some of their issues and understand what makes them feel like your ideas aren't appropriate for the particular initiative. So again, influencing the influencers, thinking about making other folks champions, it helps quite a bit, especially if you're thinking about having them use your capabilities. Adoption of those capabilities, extremely important. So be a champion maker. I think it's an important tool set to have. Understand empathize with their needs. There's always goodness in folks that want to learn, they want to do things, they want to use your technologies and capabilities, and so I would say use folks to actually help you achieve those particular goals. And finally, I'd say one thing that's helped, now that you have your clear story, you've built something, whether it's a new tracing library, again, new streaming pipeline. Sometimes companies operate top-down. So I've worked at companies where CTO mandates something and it's the thing, it's the word. And you have to implement that across the entire company, whether it be security-related or compliance-related. I've worked in companies also where that's not the case, and it's very organic. So it's bottoms up. People have to organically use the thing that you've built. Either it's going to be highly seductive, and people want to use it, they're attracted to use it. But there's no in the middle, like either it's mandated or organic. I like to use a framework that's flexible, but can be rigid when you need. So as an architect, as a chief architect trying to implement a standard for whatever purpose, it could be that this is a crypto library that we have to use across all our FedRAMP environments. And that's the only library that you can use. So we may use a fixed standard for that. So fixed standard means there's only one technology, one thing to use for that particular capability, and that's it. It works with everything else, it's vetted, it's tested. Flexible may mean you use 1, 2, or 3, but no more capabilities. So if you have a tracing library that you want to use for observability, or you have a streaming platform, for example, you may be flexible, but no more than a couple of options to make sure that it works with the rest of the capabilities that you have in your organization. And then you have free. So fixed, flexible, and free is a format that has been used for the last couple of companies that I've been, and it seems to work pretty good to give you both flexibility and also rigidity where you need. So in closing, if you take anything away from this, I'd say be clear in your narrative. Ensure that your intentions are clear. Don't leave too much room for opinions. Be declarative. Let people respond to your declaration instead of being just open to jargon monoxide. Take an iterative approach. Put money in the bank. Ensure that you're delivering value to the company every single quarter, because it may matter for your performance review as well. And then finally, scale gracefully. Use the surface around you. Lift people up, make them champions, and use them to scale your initiatives and capabilities across your company globally, whether it be a global company or a national company. And finally, don't forget the little tree, because we'll get through these times as well. And through goodness and growth, we'll get through, and we'll have some new things to have for the next time. So thank you very much.